Three things I'd like voters to know about me. First of all, I've spent the last 15 years at the Shasta County Office of Education, 10 of those years working as Assistant Superintendent and 5 years as Superintendent of Schools. And in that time, we've seen increases in support for families, support for students, and significant increases in the percent of students who are graduating prepared for their future. I believe I have proven my leadership over time. The second thing I would want voters to know is that I currently oversee a staff of 350 employees. I have the broad support from all three bargaining units, from all three union presidents, and have broad support from across the organization as we strive to continue to build the culture of offering hope and help to our community as we seek to provide outstanding service to students, families, and schools. The third thing I would want voters to know is that my husband and I have made Reading our home for the last 32 years. We have had 3 children that we raised here who attended public schools. All 3 have gone on to graduate not only from high school, but also from college and are in their late 20s. Being able to see how the education system works from a parent's perspective and from the perspective of our kids' friends has really helped me see areas where we can continue to improve education in Shasta County. What inspired me to run for public office? Well, throughout my career, I've always been one to do the very best job I could in every position I held. I never had my eyes set on one position, but doors opened up for me to continue to move up and serve others. 5 years ago, when Tom Armelino took another position, I applied for and was unanimously appointed by the Shasta County Board of Education to become the Superintendent of Schools. In 2018, I ran unopposed for the position and began this current term in 2019. The reason why I was interested in this position is that I'm passionate about the work we are doing, that I had the opportunity to build with others over that 10-year period, and now over the last 5. And I wanted to make sure that these bridges of support that we've developed for students, for families, for schools will continue to grow and flourish. I realized that that would all change under different leadership, and so I'm absolutely committed to seeing that continue. What about my background makes me the best candidate for the job? Well, I've spent the last 32 years working in Shasta County. I know the school and district administrators well, and I've earned their trust as a leader who works hard alongside them to get results. I've built trusting relationships with county agencies and community partners that have created bridges of support for students and their families, as well as for schools that didn't exist previously. I also deeply understand the role of the county superintendent of schools, which is one of support, not power. There is no power over charter schools or school districts, as that is the responsibility of each school board. This position is about support for children and youth, support for families, and support for our schools. I know the work of the 8 unique departments within the Shasta County Office of Education. I have supported efforts and encouraged our employees through opportunities to continue to learn and grow, helping each department to continuously improve their abilities to meet the needs of our employees and the community that we serve. I have personal relationships with other county superintendents, key leaders in a variety of organizations throughout the state that I can reach out to when there's a need. I am able to be that informed advocate because I know our schools. I have relationships with state agencies, and I'm able to advocate on their behalf. And last but not least, I'm a continuous learner and love to share what I've learned with those I serve as we collectively strive to improve conditions and opportunities for our youth. So my top 3 priorities are, first of all, I want to continue the work we are doing to support schools in a renewed focus on nurturing a love of learning within each student while building supportive relationships with and between students and making accessible to each student and actually each teacher a goal-setting framework to expand hope within our schools. And I know that through teacher networks that we've established, we will continue to assist teachers as they strive to provide the best learning experiences for their students. Teachers benefit from opportunities to learn from and with those who teach similar grade levels and subject areas from around the county. My second priority is to continue to support students and families through expanding the set of community services available through Community Connect. This structure within the county office helps families overcome barriers that are hindering students' ability to thrive. Through this program of Community Connect, over the last 2 years, we've brought mentors onto school campuses. We've brought clinicians to work with teachers to create greater structures of support for students. We've brought in parenting and mental health support for families who ask for these supports. We've brought in support for students who are struggling with behavior. All of this important work we want to expand by including even more community agencies so that we are all working together to meet the needs of students and their families. My third priority is to enhance services for parents of young children through a variety of ways. One would be providing a common assessment center for children who are 2 to 5 years old and bringing together under one roof a variety of services for families to make it easier to obtain what's needed for their young children. This work has been 3 years in development, and we will open our doors for the first time in August for these expanded services. I'm encouraged by all the services this will be able to provide to families and childcare providers of young children as we look forward to supporting the work as it gets underway for the 22-23 school year. Work is also underway to expand services in preschool and by offering transitional kindergarten, or TK, which essentially creates another grade level for 4-year-olds to attend school full day, including after-school care. This will not only provide quality early learning opportunities for the children of our community, but will also support families as well. To see each one of these priorities fulfilled and actually implemented, in regard to the first area, in order to really support schools, it's absolutely important to know schools well, to help them address their identified professional learning needs in a context that's appropriate for their unique school. We have a great team of leaders with expertise to help schools accomplish this. Having trusted relationships with school and district leaders is so important so that they feel comfortable sharing areas where they need to improve, knowing we are not here to judge, but to help them. The second piece, as we think about implementing and accomplishing these with regard to Community Connect, it's important for me to continue to interact with those who lead various community agencies to better understand the work that they do so that we can see how to partner together to provide those services in a coordinated and efficient way. And that third priority for our youngest children, as the expansion at our Hilltop facility opens this fall, I look forward to working closely with those leading the various aspects of the work being provided so that as we really look at that support, I want to look at that support through the eyes of parents and strive to be as helpful as possible in empowering parents as they begin their parenting journey. We have all of our districts also on board with a countywide plan for transitional kindergarten that will be implemented later this spring. Because of the expertise within our office and the trusting relationships that exist, all of our school districts are working together rather than each submitting their own plan to the state. It's great to see what we've been able to provide for families of 4-year-olds, and we will be able to expand even as this plan is implemented. As we think about the biggest challenges people are facing right now, there's two things that stand out to me. As we've heard from Michael Burke, our Executive Director for Pathways to Hope for Children, and from Miguel Rodriguez, Director of Children's Services at Shasta County Health and Human Services Agency during this month of April, which is Child Abuse Prevention Awareness Month. Shasta County's child abuse rate is 3 times the state average. Our adverse childhood experience ratings are equally as high. So that's one challenge, and a big one. Another challenge is that there's a tremendous need for early learning and childcare. There's a lack of quality services that become a real hurdle to families who are working hard to support their household. What we've learned through the work of Dr. Chan Hellman of the University of Oklahoma is that there are over 2,000 published studies that show that hope is the greatest predictor of overcoming the impact of adverse childhood experiences. We've been working with Michael Burke of Pathways to Hope for Children to bring this work to the schools in Shasta County. We have Hope Navigators who are working closely with students to help them set attainable goals, having both the pathway defined and the willpower and motivation to achieve those goals. We have key leaders within the Shasta County Office of Education who are providing support to school personnel to learn strategies children need to learn self-management and interpersonal skills so that they can reason and think critically. This is a necessary foundation for becoming a successful adult. Through the course of the year, we've received grants that have allowed us to provide families with parenting strategies to help them become more effective in raising their children in ways that will nurture and support their growth and development. And in addition, part of the universal plan for transitional kindergarten that I described earlier is to provide and create pipelines for people who are interested in working with young children so that they have access to the training they need here locally to help them step into open positions. We have also seen just this spring a significant increase in one of our contracts, which makes available for families in need of child care greater access to support. One of the things that I really see as my responsibility is to work with our schools to assist them in whatever way that I can. I have found success in the past when working with groups who have differing beliefs and opinions on the value of agreeing to a common purpose or goal. Because once we're all in agreement as to what we are striving to achieve, we can consider possible solutions, test those ideas, and then share the impact of those strategies that we tried to encourage more schools to consider practices and strategies that are making a difference. But getting to the place where we truly agree on what is the purpose and to create that common goal is a critical first step. I also strive to make sure county agencies, state legislators, and other statewide agencies are aware of our needs. It's easy for them to focus on districts and counties that have the large populations of students, and yet our needs in a more rural county need to be heard. Let me provide you just 4 examples. First of all, I've advocated for internet service for areas in our county that don't yet have any way to connect to the internet and also have no cell service. Number 2, I've advocated for funding for transportation since that funding has not increased in more than a decade, and yet costs have risen, and some of our most rural districts have students on buses for long blocks of time every day. I've also advocated for more money for special education. Our schools do not get enough funding from the state or federal government to cover the cost for what's required for students with disabilities. And then 4th, I advocated with the state in January of 21, when the California Department of Public Health was going to require us to switch and have 6 feet of space between desks. I advocated that our data showed that we were not seeing transmission of COVID between students. And I was able to share the mitigation strategies we had in place. And as a result, our schools were able to continue having students in place every day with less than 6 feet of space between them. I would say the biggest misconception is not necessarily about me, but more about the office of Superintendent of Schools. The Superintendent of Schools position is not one of power, but one of support. The Superintendent of Schools has no authority over mandates, curriculum, student discipline issues, state or board policies, staffing issues, or district superintendents. These are all the responsibilities of local school boards. In order to provide support to schools, you need to have proven leadership and trusting relationships, both of which are evidenced by the hundreds of teachers and administrators, as well as community members who have endorsed me. I have been the superintendent of schools during the last 5 years and have guided the schools throughout the county immediately following the Carr Fire, the public safety power shutoff events from the beginning, the week of heavy snow without power, and the last 2 years with the pandemic. Right after the state closed down in March of 20, I reached out to school district leaders and said that we cannot have schools closed for the 2021 school year. I was able to lead a 2-month process in conjunction with Shasta County Public Health to help our school district administrators be prepared in a wide variety of areas so that each and every school had the ability to open their doors when school started in August of 2020. Shasta County led the state in returning to schools. Something I'm very proud of is it because it met the needs of both students that we serve and the parents who needed to go to work. Because of the way I've led in these challenging circumstances, I have widespread endorsements and support from school district superintendents, charter school leaders, and principals in Shasta County and beyond. You can go to my website, judyflores.info, to see that list of over 350 endorsers.